I got you, man. How are
All
you
right, now
guys
better?
doing? Welcome to. How are you guys doing? Welcome to Putasos y Pendejadas live. We are going to go ahead and go over the Queensberry versus Matchroom fights this weekend. We were supposed to be joined by Carlos. We don't know if he is going to join, but we did send out that link. Hopefully, he does join us. But let's get started, David. I want to get started with my favorite fight of the night, the one that I said was going to be the best, the one that I was looking forward to. Let's start with Raymond Ford, man. Disappointing for me. I picked Raymond Ford. The WBA World Featherweight title was on the line. He lost against Nick Ball in a hell of a fight. One judge had it 113, 115. Another judge had it 115, 113. And 113, 115. It was a split decision loss for Raymond Ford. Very, very entertaining fight, David. How'd you see it?
I thought Ford won. I also thought Ford was going to win. I had him winning that fight. I just thought he did a better job, even though Nick Ball, his punches looked um, more, flashy, and he threw more combinations. He looked kind of more busy as the active fighter. I thought Ford was really doing a good job of blocking a lot of those shots. And whenever he did get caught, he would land one on Ford immediately. I thought he countered really nice, especially with the left uppercut. But it was a close fight. I'm not mad at the decision, to be honest with you. It was pretty close to me. But that was a damn good scrap, man. All of these fights were very good, actually.
Every single one of these, man. Let's move on to Hazma Shiraz, the captain of the Queensberry team, and Austin Williams, man, another disappointing one for me. I picked Amo Williams, but man, these guys were going at it. Both guys, I think, touched the canvas at one point. Um, and Amo Williams got stopped. I was really surprised, man. Amo Williams is one of those guys that I've been following. But again, another really good fight. I don't think he really could have done anything a lot better than what he did. It's just these guys were so closely matched. One of them was going to give, and Amo gave. But I think that it's so close that if they fight again, Amo could be able to pull one off. I mean, um, his opponent, the captain for the Queensberry team, isn't that far more talented than him. You know, he could beat him.
Yeah, I think Charisse does pose just a stylistic problem because of his range. He gave Ammo some problems with his reach and height. Uh, you're right, though. Going into this fight, I thought this one was actually going to be the fight of the night, or I was really interested to see what was going to happen because, like you, I also thought I was been watching Ammo for a while, and I was very impressed with him. I thought he was going to make a lot of noise at 160, and he still can. Um, and Sharice was kind of more of the unproven guy coming in, but wow, dude, like Sharice looked like he was just giving Ammo a lot of problems, and he looks like a real deal fighter. Like he's going to be a problem at 160 for a lot of folks. But
Yeah,
yeah, that
man.
was
I hope we get a rematch of one of the. You know what? Every single one of these fights deserves a rematch. Probably they
you're
were
right.
all really,
They
really good.
could do a revenge of the rematches
I know, man.
with a lot of these fights from this card,
Yeah.
except for maybe a couple, which we'll get into in
Let's
a little
jump
bit.
into the heavyweights, man. Daniel Dubai and Philip Hargovic for the IBF interim world heavyweight title. It was a wait, no, the world heavy, the IBF interim world heavyweight title. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it
it's for
was.
the interim belt that they're trying to decide whether they're going to strip Usyk for or not.
Hargovic got stopped by the doctors. Doctor's advice. The cuts were pretty bad. It was a really, really good fight. I was kind of disappointed that the doctors stopped it. Philip looks like he could, fight bloody wars, kind of like Arturo Gatti style, and last the whole 12 rounds. But they stopped it. I'd like to see this one again. But that was a big, big, big win for Daniel Dubai, who really needed a big win, man.
Yeah, Dubois coming in was coming off a win against Jarrell Miller, and I thought he looked really good in that fight. I thought he was looking pretty good against Usyk too in their fight. So I was pretty high on Dubois coming in onto this mark, and I expected him to win. I just wasn't very impressed with Ergovic, even though he's a very impressive fighter. Physically, he's really tall. He can crack, and he does have that meanness in him, like you were saying. Pretty tough guy. So I was happy to see Dubois win, but I'm with you. I think this could be a rematch of this fight. These guys were really going at it. And you know
Yeah.
what surprised me the most, Mark, was Dubois' chin. He was taking some shots from the bigger man, and he just showed a lot of grit and a lot of chin in there against Ergovic. So I was very impressed with Dubois' ability to take some of those punches.
Yeah, I want to call that one the fight of the night for me
Yeah,
because
it was for me too.
those two heavyweights fought at an athletic rhythm that two heavyweights really shouldn't fight, man. They were going at each other, landing a lot of shots. It was a real active fight for a heavyweight fight. That was my favorite fight of the night. I think it was fight of the night. Willie Hitchinson's and Craig Richards. That was another really entertaining fight, man. Just to see Willie Hitchens and what he can do and shut him out like that. That guy is pretty good. I really hadn't seen a lot of him, but man, what a performance. He won 117, 111, 116, 112, 119, 109 for the
Yeah,
WBC Silver Heavy. That was a really impressive performance by Willie Hitchinson.
yeah. I kind of had taken my eye off of the other light heavyweights in the division um, going into this. So I wasn't really familiar with these fighters, but you were telling me that these guys were going to be good. I remember you bringing that up
Yeah.
in the last video. And so, when this was this was the first fight of the pay-per-view card. So when they came up, I was trying to pay attention to it, man, and really watching it closely. And yeah, and Hutchinson's really came in, and that guy's really good, Mark. He's really, really good. And he showed some heart at the end because Richards had him hurt, I think in the 11th and in the 12th round, and the guy still finished strong. He was able to survive some of those moments. That was a damn good little squad, man. But Hutchinson's proves pretty much in control most of the fight.
Yeah, man. Chica Hitchinson is good enough to compete with the Bivals and those guys out there. I don't know if he's good enough to beat them, but he's good enough to
He'll beat
compete
you.
with them for
Yes,
sure. He can
yes.
compete with those guys, but I don't know if he's Dimitri Bivol and those guys got extreme power and they're so much more methodical in there. But he's athletic enough and damn good enough and has the tools to probably stand in there with these guys and compete and make it a good fight.
He's got the heart for sure. He's got the heart to get in there and give them any of those fighters a good fight.
Chinga, man, let's get to the really big one we all want to talk about. Deontay Wilder and Big Bang Zong, man. Deontay Wilder lost TKO. Wilder went down with a right. I believe it was in the fifth round. It was in the fifth
Yes,
round.
yes.
That was a really gotcha knockout, man. Chinga. I don't know if this. I don't. Did he say he was going to retire in the press conference?
I didn't catch the press conference. I've heard that he's considering it, though. He had been talking about retirement going into this fight too.
He
So,
looked sluggish in the fight anyway. He didn't look like anything better than he's been.
well, Mark, this was one of the reasons why I picked Zong to win this fight in our last video with Carlos, because Wilder's just been very inactive, man. Like when you're at this age of your career, and it doesn't help you to be, having these long bouts of inactivity going into fights, especially a fight like this. Um, Wilder's already 38? He's going to be 39 soon, something like that. He's in his late
Yeah,
30s. He's in his late 30s. He's only had a one win in like 2 years. He's not fighting very often. That's kind of one of the things you saw with a lot of PBC fighters. They don't fight very often, and that was, Wilder. And
yeah.
he had come back right after losing to Joseph Parker, and that was kind of a thorough beating that he took against Parker as well. I just didn't like the strategy that Wilder was trying to take. He was taking too many steps back against Zong. And then you see the lack of technique rearing its ugly head I don't know if you looked at every time he would throw that right hand, the left hand was down low, and that's what led to that KO. Zong was timing him for that right hand, threw a right hook from the southpaw stance, spun Wilder around,
Yeah.
and then landed another right hook as he was turning around to face him. I mean, that was a really just a clutch shot. And, you know, just all the things that you saw wrong with Wilder, the inactivity, the lack of technique and proper technique, all of that stuff came back to bite him. And that's why he lost, essentially. And Zong's a good
Yeah.
guy, man. He's a real good fighter, dude. Like he's limited himself. You know, he's kind of big, slow dude, but the guy has skills. He's not just going in there trying to throw punches. He sets up his punches, and you saw that he did that with Wilder.
Yeah, yeah, man. Wilder took a beating, and you're right. He's only won once. He's the last 2-3 years, or last 2-3 fights, and he's made a whole bunch of money in his career, man. He's made a
Yeah.
whole bunch of money in his career, and he's one of those fighters that has made the right decisions. He hasn't gone crazy with his money. Everything's for his daughter. So,
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes.
uh,
I'd say the one decision that I think, Mark, the one decision that he messed up on was not fighting Anthony Joshua back in, I forget. He was
yeah,
Eddie
that would have
Hearn.
been
That would have been
that
the
would have
fight
been
to make and take.
easy another 30 million back then.
50. It was for 50.
Yeah,
50
well,
million, man. And on
he's
top of
had
that, he
enough.
could have continued to have all the other fights that he did.
Yeah,
Who knows if he would have even won that fight? Because remember, Joshua was still, I think Joshua's a better fighter now than he was back then. So, and Wilder still had that cloak of invincibility, you know?
yeah,
I think the fights with Fury kind of took something out of him. He doesn't have that
yeah,
same fire that he used to have some years ago. So that's that one decision that I think he could take back, that he wishes he could take
yeah.
back.
Heavyweights are not made for trilogies, man. It kills heavyweights. Look
It
at
hurts him.
Muhammad Ali. Look at Joe Frazier. Never really was the same after, like,
Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield.
yeah. The trilogies are not made for heavyweights, man. And
Yeah.
freaking, there's special guys that have been through a few, you know, like Evander Holyfield, Muhammad Ali,
Muhammad Ali.
and Holyfield did it twice with Tyson, and what, 3 times with Bo, a few times with others. Yeah, they those two dudes lasted a lot of wars, man. But yeah, Deontay Wilder, he should pack it up. He's got plenty of money. Um, he's respected for what he did because he started so late, and for a guy that started that late to become, I think, multiple time champion, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was a champion twice, right? Two-time
Who's that?
heavyweight champion,
Deontay?
maybe. Yeah.
He had the WBC, lost it. No, I think he just won it that one time.
Yeah. Well, he
But
was world champion from
he held
starting
it
to
for a
fight at
while. He had it for a
and he
while
started to
though.
fight at what, 19 years old?
Huh?
He started to fight at what, 19 years old?
Yeah, he
20?
started late in the game, man. He started
Yeah.
late
So
for sure.
to do what he did was awesome. I hope he does pack it up, man. But I don't want to see that one, obviously. But out of the 5 that we did see, David, give me 2 that you really want to see again.
Well, I thought the Nick Ball Raymond Ford fight was really good. I was down for that
Oh,
one,
that
but
one.
Ford's gonna move up to 130, man. He's talking about moving up to 130, 126 is just a hard cut for him now. So he's got to move up. So that's probably not going to happen at 126 or anytime soon.
Right.
I thought Dubois Ergovic could also be a fight that would be a nice one to see as a rematch. But I'm kind
Yeah.
of torn between that one and Charisse versus Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it for the 5-on-5, guys. David, I was at the OTX fight this weekend, my first experience at OTX. Now, for those of you who don't know what OTX is, it's overtime boxing. And there's 12 rounds in a fight, 10 round in a fight, 4, 6, 8. Well, in overtime boxing, if a fight ends in the 10th round, and the fight ends in a draw, it's not permitted in overtime boxing. So they go an extra round to see who wins, right? So the situation happened on Saturday night with Raul Marquez. I'm sorry, Giovanni Marquez. Giovanni Marquez. He was in a tough one against a kid from San Antonio. I forgot the kid's name. I wish I remember it right now, but it was a draw, and so it had to go that extra round, and they rile everybody up, and everybody goes crazy because overtime boxing does not permit draws. It goes into overtime, David, and it's clear that Giovanni Marquez won that 12th round to the whole press row. It was clear. The kid gave him a scare, though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if it was a real fight, it would have ended a draw. Well, it was a draw. It's clear to everybody that Giovanni wins the last round. This is the 11th round. They call it a draw again.
Oh shit.
And end the night. And I was sitting there thinking something's wrong. All of us at press were like, yeah, I mean, that's the point of the extra round, so that there's no. And then there's like, well, then they had to have counted the last round a draw, and there's no way with that. So there was confusion, things like that. So they went back to the cards, and there was a judge did his math wrong.
Oh man.
And then they announced it after this kid was crying. He did the press conference. Extremely upset. I kept asking the question. I was asking his dad too, but his dad was consoling his son, obviously, trainer. Hey, man, this is boxing. It happens. Suck it up. Hey, it is what it is. You feel good. His dad's positive. His dad said, it happened to me a bunch of times, man. This is boxing. It's a draw. You gave it your all. We feel you won. It's not going to be the last time it happens. The kid was unconsolable, but, he gets out there in the press conference. He's kind of confused himself because he really thinks he cracked them at the end. But what do you think, David, about this overtime boxing? Is it confusion? I mean,
well, if it's done right,
do you like it? I mean, now in this situation, the judges weren't prepared for it. The fighters, they don't really know the rules either. I mean, they're used to the rules are what they are. And then overtime, some of these people aren't signed to overtime. Some are signed. There's a new thing in boxing now. They're prove it deals. You got to fight with them a couple of times and then they'll sign you. So a lot of these guys are fighting for these promoters and they don't know the rules. And both parties were pretty unhappy. Marquez was obviously happy at the end. Obviously he won. They came out and announced it afterwards. He was all smiles. But what do you think, David? Are you for that? Are you against that? Do you like it? Would you just keep it traditional?
I don't know. It sounds interesting to me. I think if you do it right, it can be something that catches fire. I think specifically when you have, I don't know, a moment where something's on the line, right? Like maybe these young prospect fights, it's not the setting for it. But when you're talking about maybe a unification fight or like a number one ranking or some kind of title eliminator where you want to declare a winner that night, where you need to declare a winner, I think it serves its purpose in those areas. But I gotta say, man, that situation that you're talking about, it was due to human error, right? Like somebody messed up their math.
Human error.
Right. It should it have gone should it have gone to the extra round to begin with?
Yes, yeah, now we're risking guys' health if just for a math error.
Yeah, so it didn't have to go the extra round.
That's yes. That.
Wow. So again, that sucks. If it's done right and people are doing their freaking job, that can be an interesting thing. But like you said, man, you're putting guys at extra risk that you don't have to.
Yeah.
That sucks. Another thing, dude, when you announce a winner at the end of the fight, the range of emotions that a fighter has to face, they're really tough, bro. Like if you announced a winner, it's happened to other fighters in the past. I'm thinking of Jesus Chavez and this other dude. No, it happened to Jose Luis Castillo. Mm-hmm. Jose Luis Castillo made it to a decision. Do you remember that fight? He made it to a decision, and then the judges had called the winner wrong, and they had to give the belts back. And in the locker rooms, they exchanged the belts. Who did he
Oh,
fight, man? Was it Stevie Johnston? I don't remember, but I remember Castillo having to get his belt, and the decision was reversed because the judges had turned in the wrong scorecard or some shit, right? They had done something wrong. So to be called the winner of a fight and then turn around and be told that you actually lost it, that messes you up bad, dude. It messes you up. So I don't know that a fighter could be prepared to deal with something like that happening at the end of a fight, like be called a draw, like you thought you won, get called a draw,
yeah,
and then have to like fight one more round in order to declare you're a winner. I think if you
yeah,
mentally prepare yourself for it, it's a good idea. But like I said, the range of emotions, man, it can really take the air out of you. If you thought you won, it's called a draw, then you have to fight another round. That can kind of
yeah.
mess you up. So I don't know. It's an interesting idea. I'm not gonna lie. I'm intrigued by it. But what do you think, man? Do you think it's some? I mean, you
I
got to see it in
I liked
action.
it. You know what? I did like it, and I like the fact that it'll kill draws. And I
Yeah.
like the way they handle it, man. And they have one of the best in the business doing my favorite part of it. Like I've never been in. Have you seen overtime boxing or an experienced that?
No, no, I haven't.
What happens? They call a draw, but Lupe Contreras, because he's on there and he's like, and you know what that means? And then they got the and then the crowd goes crazy. It's overtime boxing. We don't allow. And then the crowd goes crazy. The lights go. It's awesome. But they just need to get the judges and maybe the
Yeah.
fighters on par. Talk to them about overtime. Educate them about it before. Maybe I don't know if and I need to do a little bit more research, but does the state recognize overtime boxing
I'm looking at it
rules?
right now on BoxRec, bro, and they
Thank God I
do.
got David Scoop de Leon. Talk to me, man. What does it say?
So they actually show you. You know how BoxRec will usually show you how, like, if the fight is scheduled for 8 rounds and it goes
Right,
six and they knock the guy out in six, it says 6 out of 8. The fight went 6 out of 8. Or if it
right,
went the full distance, it would be 8 out of 8 rounds completed.
right.
Well, for Marquez's fight, for Giovanni Marquez versus Jason Limon, it shows 9 out of 8 rounds. So it's showing the extra round that they fought, but then it also
Right.
notes the fight is declared a draw after 8 rounds, but was originally announced as a draw after the overtime round due to a scorecard calculation error. Marquez was declared the winner by split decision. So he had earned the
Yeah.
split decision, but they didn't have to go that extra round, like you said. Box
Yeah, it's
rec,
crazy. You're putting the kid's health in that danger, man. But you
well,
know what? The kid is signed with them. He loves them overtime. Every single fighter that fights with overtime boxing absolutely loves the way they get treated. Absolutely loves it. I talked to every single fighter, everybody. I asked, why would you choose overtime boxing? You don't believe how personal these people are with me. They said it's like a family. Every single one of them said it's like a family, and they love the way they get treated. They love it there. I
that's
would,
good.
I'd hope that there was a lot of confusion in both rounds about the rules and why did it go overtime. But man, it didn't have to go. That's a big error. I'd like to see that changed. I'd like to see them educate the fighters, but I do like the concept. It gets exciting. The crowd goes crazy. And shout out to Giovanni Marquez. He won. He did what he needed to do to win. Congratulations.
It's a
Young
crazy
Breon as
experience,
well.
man, for a young guy to go through, though. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Breon Grom out of Houston, Texas as well. Had a big win. I believe he's going to get signed with OTX as well, man. Breon is a big upcoming fighter. Shout out to Jay Prince, the manager, everybody who was out there, everybody who's a part of OTX. Thank you, OTX, for inviting us and showing us all the hospitality. We'll be out there again with you guys. We're taking your word on what you guys told us, Tanya. We're going to Atlanta. But yeah, man, I want to make it out there in Atlanta. They say it gets really, really crunk out there in Atlanta because that's what they do. They get crunk out there. David, did you know that?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been knowing that, bro.
But yeah,
Uh,
man, David, we got some stuff coming up on Thursday and Friday, right?
yes, sir. Xander Zayas is going to be fighting, as is typical with the Puerto Rican Day Parade. There's always a big Puerto Rican superstar fighting on that weekend. Xander Zayas will be fighting, and PYP will be on the scene, getting behind the curtain, and we'll be trying to cover that event, man.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna be there. We have
Oh,
applied
also,
for
don't forget Bruce Shushu Carrington. He's also going to be on that card as
He's
well.
on that card, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be it's gonna be good, man.
Xander Zayas was named uh sportsman, Puerto Rican sportsman for 2024. That's like a big honor for athletes in Puerto Rico, and the it's the Puerto Rican Day Parade Board of Committee or whatever. They usually vote somebody in, and they voted Xander Zayas Sportsman of 2024. It's a big honor over there in Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think he's like a really good kid, man. Keeps his nose clean. He's not messing around. I think he's gonna be a good ambassador for the sport and for the island of Puerto Rico. Look forward to seeing his career as he's climbing up those ranks and looking to become a top contender. And I think this fight versus Patrick Teixeira it's the right fight at the right time for him. It's a good step up fight. And I think it's gonna be a really good event, man.
It is going to be a good event. I expect Xander Zayas to win easily, but it is going to be a good event, and he's going to look good doing it. And this is a bigger step. Shushu Carrington is out there. Shout out to DXL Boxing Gym, man. Ferco and the guys out there, Flick, Emmanuel, they got Shushu going. He's a DXL boxer. They've invited us out to their gym, and we've hung out there with Flick and Coach Cal out there, and Mrs. True, the owner of DXL Boxing, Miss True. Shout out to Miss True. Good luck to you guys this weekend. And that is it for Putasos y Pendejadas Live. Try to join us again next Tuesday. We're going to do Putasos y Pendejadas Live again. Hopefully, we can get Carlos Jackson with us. Go over the Xander Zayas card. Shout out to Carlos. He's probably out there running his miles, listening to some ATL, some Outcasts out there.
He's getting crunk. He's getting crunk on the road work.
He's got to know I'm going out to OTX out there. Hopefully, I run into him, man. Hopefully, you can make it out there too. Anyway, thank you guys. We will catch you guys next Tuesday live, and stay tuned for the big show this week. We're going to record the big show as well, and we'll be releasing that this week as well.
Yes, sir. All right.
See you.
See you, brother.